Today we will learn how to draw closed mouths. We will learn two different views. One is the front view and one is the 3/4 view. If you would now turn in your sketchbook to page 54. So on page 54, what I'd like you to do in the top section is to just lightly divide your page into half like that. As we go, I'm going to give you some tips that we will write down, and I am also going to begin to show you how to use your blender stick, your shading pencil, and an eraser. They are all very helpful in drawing the mouths. So, first thing I just simply like to remind you of is, what is the word render? You're going to hear me say that word a lot. And render means shading with the side of your pencil. So to get started, what I'd like you to do is we are going to draw a front view of the lips in this section right here. And it is not a trick, but the larger you draw, the easier it will be to shade. So to get started, the first thing is I want you to leave a little space underneath where we're going to write tips, and just a little space right here. So if you notice how I place it on the paper, I think you will find it helpful. Right here in the middle, what I'd like you to do is a gentle U. A gentle U like this. Now, at the top of the U, gently round and come across. Gently round, and the distance here is similar to what you want here. So you're going to gently round and come here. I often call this drawing a seagull. So to see my placement of where I've put it on the page, let's get it right in the middle of the section there. The next step is to drop directly under this slight U, and you're going to put even a slighter U here, and you're going to do a gentle round. So a slight U, a gentle round, and you're going to go out. Slight U, a gentle round, and you're going to go out. So it's almost like a straight line, but right underneath this U, you're going to put the other U. Now, at this, you've just created the top lip. Underneath this U here, you put this U here. Now you're going to leave a little bit more space and just put a indicator right there. That will be the deepest part of your bottom lip. What you will do now is you will round the corner and connect. Again, you round the corner and connect. So we've got our basic shape of the lip in. Now for tips, because we're going for realism. So our first tip is that generally, and again, rules always get broken, but generally you want to shade with an up and down direction. And a blender stick comes in very useful. So under where it says tip 1, write shade up and down direction. So you're going to render up and down. What do I mean by that? I'm going to take my pencil like this, and I'm going to go up and down. If you notice and you look at someone's lips and you see the skin of their lips, you will often see up and down sort of lines. Now, you notice I don't fill it in perfectly. Here's where the blender stick comes in super handy. So now take your blender stick and do a nice rub. Again, also up and down. Our goal is not to make the lips look like they're outlined. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to go up and down. And tip 2 is that the top lip, and that's what we're working on right now, is usually darker in value. Now, as I said before, we don't want to look like we've outlined our lips. So I'm going to go in with my pencil. I'm using my 6B, and I'm going up and down, and I'm trying to get rid of this upper lip line so it doesn't look outlined, but that my entire shape looks dark shaded. Notice that I've gone in here and it looks rough. Not a problem at all because that's going to be easily fixed. My next step now will be to shade my bottom lip. If you have a blender stick and it's dirty, this actually works perfect. I'm going to also shade, because remember our tip 1 is to shade up and down. So I'm just going to take my dirty blender stick in here and I'm going to shade up and down. Noticing that I like to have some up and down sort of light lines noticed. This shows skin of a lip. Now, it appears that my lip looks outlined. So a lot of times what I might want to do is just put some shading here at the bottom. Kind of pull my line up a little bit and continue to blend it with my blender stick up and down. The last tip that I'd like you to write down is that the bottom lip usually has a shine. So write bottom lip usually has a shine in it. So, how do I get a shine? Extremely easy. Take an eraser. A lot of times this is where your mechanical drawing pencil eraser could come in. You could use just a regular pencil eraser come in. And I'm going to just put an eraser line like this. Currently, that looks super harsh. My eraser often takes a little bit more out than I really want to take out. So I go back in with my blender stick, or possibly you could even go back in with your pencil lead. And I am simply going to make it look a little bit more natural. So I'm going to rough up that eraser line, and notice then how I get some dark shines in there, or I get some light shines. What am I saying? I get some light shines in there, but it doesn't look like a patch. I don't want a patch. Now with either your soft pencil lead underneath your lip, put a slight downward curve here, indicating some shading of the chin. If your blender stick is nice and dirty, you can just simply draw with your blender stick. So that's underneath the lips. Now, what we have yet to get is what I call the philtrum. The philtrum is that area that's between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lips. Extremely easy to do with pencil drawing. I'm going to take my blender stick and I'm just simply going to rub some skin like this. And with an eraser, I'm going to draw, and I'm not going to take the dark lead, but instead I'm going to go right on top of it. I'm going to draw with my eraser a very, very thin little line. Very, very thin. And at the top of these two mountains, should I call them, I'm going to swing up and I'm going to swing up. You will notice that my eraser takes off more than what I want. Very easy to correct because I'm going to go back in with my blender stick. And I'm going to take some of that white harshness away by and then you have what's called the philtrum, the space between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lip. This is what I call the front view. This is front view lips. Now what we are going to do is we are going to draw our second set of lips. And this time we are going to do what's called the 3/4 view. This is a very typical model view of lips. So to get started, this is somewhat of a review of what you just did. So I'm simply going to enlarge so you can see it largely. I'm just going to slide over here. And again, the larger you draw, the easier it is to get in there and shade. So I'm going to leave some space up here for the philtrum, a little bit of space down here for the chin. Right here, I'm going to do a gentle U. So a gentle U shape. And now I'm going to do the little mountaintop, and I'm going to come out. Here, I'm going to do the mountaintop, but you see where I end here? If I took an imaginary line, this here is not going to go out as far. This is going to be slightly. Now, what's important about the 3/4 view is that your U's stay directly on top of each other. So I'm going to do a U here, and I'm just going to gently curve and go out. A U here, gently curve and go out. So that's kind of smack dab in the middle of my lips. I feel like I got my Now, I am going to begin to shade up and down, knowing that tip 1 was that my top lip is generally darker. So render with your pencil up and down. Take your blender and rub. Fill in the spaces. It gets a little messy, but we clean it up with an eraser. Notice my seagull shape. Now, right under here is a U. Right under here is a U. Right under here is going to be the deepest part of my bottom lip. And I'm going to go over. Oh, one thing I forgot is here we want to round, and we want to cut off part of the lip here. So we want to round. Round here, the U, the U, the U, and now we go up and again, that isn't pointed. Hopefully it's somewhat rounded. So tip 2 is that the bottom lip is usually, actually tip 3 is the bottom lip is usually has the shine in it and is usually lighter. So I'm going to lay some lead down so I have something to move around. So I render some lead at the bottom. I then take my blender stick and I blend. Noticing I'm going up and down direction. That was our tip number 1. I'm going to slightly clean this up with my eraser. Remembering that you always can draw with your eraser. And with that dirty blender stick, the chin then moves right here, slightly. Just a little shade there. We have yet to put the shine in the lip. Remember, I'm just going to erase, and that looks like a big old block in my erasing. and I don't want it to look blocky like that. So to get rid of that, but yet to keep a shine, I'm just going to go in with my blender stick. Noticing that I still have a shine. Maybe I went in and put too much, so I can go back with my eraser and get a little bit of that lead out. So I have a shine. And often you look at lips and you will see that skin, and that skin is coming up and down.
Good morning, and just a quick interruption. Just a reminder, teachers and students, that we'll do staggered lunch.
So now, with my blender stick, I need to put the philtrum in. So I'm just going to rub above my lips. Paper towel also works if you don't have a blender stick. So notice that I see a little bit more on the right side. I'm then going to take my eraser and very gently draw a little line right above the lips. And I'm going to, I call these mountaintops, I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up. So notice my and if it erases a little more than what I want, go back in with your blender stick. And you have just now done a 3/4 view, a very typical model sort of view, a 3/4 view. So on your paper today, you should have a front view lips, shading up and down, top lip darker than bottom lip white shine. 3/4 view, top lip darkest, bottom lip lighter, bottom lip white shine. And on both sets of lips, a philtrum. The philtrum is created with the shading and then the use of your eraser.